You know, people love to talk about dreams. They love to post about write about say, one day I'll do this, one day I'll be that. But here's the truth. Dreams don't work unless you do. See? Everybody wants to be successful until they realize success has a price tag. Not money, no. I'm talking time, effort, discipline, patience, failure, rejection. That's the real cost. Dream big, two simple words that sound easy when you say them, but they carry the weight of your entire future. Dreaming big isn't just about what you want to have one day. It's about who you're willing to become to get there. It's not just a picture you paint in your head. It's the fire you feed every single day when nobody's watching, when nobody's clapping, when nobody believes in you yet. You see, most people don't dream big because they've been taught to think small. They've been told to stay safe, stay practical, stay realistic. They've heard words like, that's impossible. That's not for people like us. Be grateful for what you have. And sure, gratitude matters, but comfort kills ambition. The moment you get too comfortable, your dreams start shrinking to fit your surroundings. Dreaming big means refusing to let your current situation define your future possibilities. It's saying, yeah, I might be broke right now, but I'm not staying broke. Yeah, I might not have the degree, the network, the name, but I've got drive. It's believing that the limits people put on you are not the limits of your potential. Think about it. Every big thing we admire today started in someone's imagination. Someone dreamed of flying, and now we cross oceans in hours. Someone dreamed of connecting the world, and now we hold that power in our phones. Someone dreamed of performing on a stage, of creating art, of changing lives, and now their names are written in history. But here's the truth most people miss: that dreaming big is scary. It means putting yourself out there. It means risking failure, judgment, and sometimes even heartbreak. Because when you dream big, you're going against the grain. You're telling the world, I'm not here just to exist. I'm here to make something happen. Everybody's got a dream when things are easy. But dreaming big means you still hold on to it when life gets ugly. When the bills pile up, when people doubt you, when doors close and nobody calls back. That's when dreaming big becomes more than motivation. It becomes survival. It becomes your reason to get up again and again. Imagine a young man working a job he hates. Long hours, low pay. Nobody noticing the effort. But every night he goes home, sits in front of that old laptop, and writes scripts, sketches, designs, practices speeches. People laugh at him. Man, you still doing that? They say. But he smiles because they can't see what he sees. He's not living for where he is. He's living for where he's going. That's what dreaming big looks like in real life. It's not glamorous. It's not easy. It's quiet grind, private battles, late nights and early mornings. It's saying no to comfort so you can say yes to purpose. It's walking through doubt and still keeping your head high. Sometimes dreaming big means standing alone. People will misunderstand you. They'll call you unrealistic. But remember this. No one ever built something legendary by thinking average. The dreamers are the ones who change the game. You might look at your life and think, I don't have much. That's fine. Because dreaming big doesn't require wealth, status, or luck. It requires vision. It requires courage. It requires the guts to imagine a life better than the one you're living now and the strength to go after it. Every day you wake up, you get two choices: live in your dream or live in your fear. And most people choose fear because it's familiar. But fear won't get you anywhere new. Your dream will. You've got to see it before you can have it. You've got to feel it before it's real. You've got to believe it when it doesn't make sense. And you've got to protect it when nobody else understands. Dream big enough to make people uncomfortable. Big enough that it keeps you up at night. Big enough that when you tell someone about it, they raise an eyebrow and say, "You really think you can do that?" That's when you know it's the right dream. And don't mistake dreaming big for arrogance. It's not about being better than anyone. It's about being better than you were yesterday. It's about giving yourself permission to want more, to expect more, to build more. You want to know what happens when you dream small? You settle. You start accepting good enough. You convince yourself that maybe you were asking for too much. But that's a lie. You weren't asking for too much. You were surrounded by people who were asking for too little. So dream beyond your neighborhood, beyond your past, beyond what you've been told you can do. Dream like a kid again, before the world told you what was impossible. Remember that feeling when you believed anything could happen? That wasn't a fantasy. That was your real self before fear got involved. You've got one life, one shot, one story. Don't let it be written by fear or doubt. Dream so big it scares you, but excites you even more. Dream so big you grow into the kind of person who can handle it. Because here's the thing. When you dream big, your energy changes. You walk different. You talk different. You stop chasing approval and start chasing progress. You stop waiting for the right time and start making time. And suddenly, people start noticing. Not because you told them your dream, but because you're living it. They see that light in your eyes, that purpose in your step. They feel that something about you is different. That's what happens when a dream starts to become real. It changes you first, and then it changes everything around you. So don't shrink your dreams to fit your current reality. Expand your reality to match your dreams. Because the moment you decide to dream big, your world starts to expand too. Every possibility, every door, every connection, it all starts opening up piece by piece. Keep your dream alive. Feed it with effort. Protect it from negativity. And push through the fear. Because one day, you'll look back and realize it wasn't the dream that was too big. It was your old thinking that was too small. Start small. That's where the real story begins. Everybody wants the spotlight, but nobody wants to build the stage. People see success and they think it happens overnight. They look at the result, not the process. They don't see the nights of doubt, the tiny steps, the quiet work that nobody applauded. But that's what starting small is about. Doing the little things that don't seem to matter until one day they're the reason everything works. Starting small doesn't mean thinking small. It means understanding that every big dream is built from humble beginnings. The first brushstroke before the painting, the first line before the book, the first sail before the empire. It's that first step you take when the road is still dark and you can't see what's ahead. That's courage. That's belief in motion. Think about the person who wants to get fit. They buy fancy gym gear, set massive goals, promise themselves they'll work out 2 hours every day. A week later, they quit. Not because they're lazy, but because they tried to do everything at once. But the person who just starts small, 10 minutes of walking, a few push-ups at home, one healthy meal, they stick with it. And before long, those small choices turn into habits, and those habits turn into transformation. That's how life really changes. People underestimate small beginnings because they don't look impressive. Nobody claps when you're still practicing. Nobody posts about the first draft, the first rehearsal, the first failed attempt. But that's where champions are made. Every master was once a beginner who didn't quit. Starting small means respecting the process. It's like planting a seed. You don't yell at it to grow faster. You just water it every day. Trust the soil, trust the sun, and wait. And when it finally sprouts, you realize it wasn't just the plant growing, it was you. Patience, discipline, resilience, they grow too. There's a story behind every success that starts with something small. A kid in his bedroom with a second-hand guitar, playing the same chord until his fingers bleed. A woman writing ideas on sticky notes during her lunch break, building a business plan between work shifts. A young man practicing speeches in front of a cracked mirror because he dreams of inspiring others someday. Nobody sees those moments, but those are the bricks of greatness. You don't need to have it all figured out to begin. You just need to begin. People wait for the right time, the right conditions, the right resources. But if you wait for perfect, you'll wait forever. The right time is the moment you decide to move. Even if it's one tiny step, that step matters. Because once you take it, the next one gets easier. The thing about small starts is that they teach you hunger. When you have less, you learn to make more out of it. When you're overlooked, you learn to build without validation. When you start small, you appreciate every inch of progress. That's what gives you staying power when things get tough. I've seen people get everything handed to them. They rise fast, but they fall just as quickly because they skipped the foundation. They wanted the view from the top without climbing the stairs. But the one who starts small, who struggles, who learns, when they finally make it, they don't crumble under success. They can handle it because they earned it piece by piece. Look at any athlete, any artist, any entrepreneur. You'll find the same truth. They didn't start with everything. They started with a little spark, a small opportunity, a single step. Michael Jordan didn't make his high school team at first. He didn't quit. He practiced harder. Steve Jobs started in a garage. Oprah started reading news for a small local channel. These are not accidents, these are blueprints. Starting small builds confidence. Every small win reminds you that you're capable. Maybe you only sold one product today, but that's one more than yesterday. Maybe you saved $5 this week, but that's 5 more than last week. Maybe you spoke to 10 people and one of them believed in you. That's progress. That's movement. Don't let comparison steal your patience. Social media will make you think everyone's already successful, already living the dream. But remember, what you're seeing is their chapter 20. You might still be on chapter 2, and that's okay. You don't rush a masterpiece, you craft it. When you start small, you get to learn without pressure. You make mistakes quietly, you experiment freely, and you build experience that can't be bought. That's what prepares you for the big moments later. You learn how to fail, how to adapt, how to rise again. Those are the lessons that small beginnings give you for free. You might not have a big audience right now, but that's good. It gives you space to grow. Imagine if the whole world was watching your first try. You'd freeze. Small beginnings give you room to breathe, to figure things out without the noise. It's your training ground, your laboratory, your practice field. Every mountain climb begins with a single step. Nobody teleports to the summit. And that first step, it's usually the hardest. Because that's the moment you leave comfort behind. But once you take it, you realize it wasn't the mountain stopping you. It was the hesitation. Small actions build momentum. Momentum builds consistency. And consistency builds results. When you start small, you teach your mind to keep promises to yourself. You say, I'll do a little today. And then you do it. That's power. Because every time you keep that promise, your belief in yourself grows. People will doubt you when you start small. They'll say, that's all you've got? Or, you really think that'll make a difference? But one day they'll ask how you did it, and you'll smile, because you'll remember the nights when you were building brick by brick, while they were waiting for something big to happen. Starting small isn't about where you begin. It's about what you build from there. It's about choosing progress over perfection, patience over pride, effort over excuses. Because once you start, truly start, there's no limit to how far you can go. Act now, because waiting is the silent killer of dreams. People say they're waiting for the right time, the perfect moment, the sign that tells them it's time to move. But here's the truth. There is no perfect time. The stars won't align. The road won't clear. The fear won't disappear. If you keep waiting for the right time, you'll look up one day and realize time ran out. Every great story begins when someone stops waiting and starts acting. When someone says, I don't know how this will work, but I'm doing it anyway. That's when change happens. Not when you plan, not when you talk, but when you take that first step. Think about it. How many ideas died because someone said, I'll start tomorrow? How many dreams faded because someone was scared to take the risk? People don't fail because they're not talented. They fail because they never begin. Acting now doesn't mean you have everything figured out. It means you move with what you have, where you are, with faith in your effort. Every step, no matter how small, gets you closer. Sometimes you'll stumble. Sometimes you'll get lost. But every move teaches you something that standing still never could. Picture this. You've got an idea that excites you. Your heart beats faster just thinking about it. You tell yourself, I'll do it soon. Then days pass, weeks pass, months pass. You see someone else do it, and suddenly you say, that could have been me. That moment of regret, that sting inside, that's the cost of hesitation. Don't let hesitation steal your destiny. Act now while the fire's hot energy fades when it's not used. Momentum dies when it's not fed. Action keeps it alive. Look at anyone who made a difference. They all acted before they were ready. They didn't wait for the money, the team, the applause. They started with a decision. That's the real power. Deciding to begin. You can plan forever. You can read every book, watch every video, take every course. But if you never act, you'll never know. Knowledge without action is like fuel in a car you never drive. It goes nowhere. I've seen people talk for years about what they want to do. They've got notebooks full of ideas, phones full of notes, dreams stacked higher than the sky. But talk doesn't move mountains. Action does. And sometimes acting now doesn't look grand. It might just be sending that email, making that call, showing up when you don't feel ready. It's small moves that create big results over time. It's the courage to move forward, even when your knees are shaking. People are afraid of starting because they're afraid of failing. But what if you fail? You learn, you adjust, you come back stronger. What if you never start, then you fail by default? Doing nothing is the fastest way to lose everything you could have had. Acting now builds character. When you take action, you train your mind to be brave. You teach yourself that you can rely on you. That's a kind of power nobody can take away. Imagine someone working at a job they hate. They keep saying, I'll quit when I save enough money, or I'll start my business when I'm ready. Years go by, and that dream is still just talk. But the one who acts now, who starts small on weekends, who takes that leap when everyone says it's crazy, that person changes their whole life. You don't need to see the whole staircase to take the first step. Just move. The path becomes clear once you walk it. Motion creates clarity. Action opens doors you didn't even know existed. Fear tells you to wait. Doubt tells you you're not ready. Perfection tells you to plan a little more. But deep down, you already know what to do. You're just scared of what might happen if you do it. But here's the twist. What if something amazing happens? What if it works? What if this action changes everything? You can't control the outcome, but you can control the effort. You can't predict the future, but you can influence it. And every single time you act, you shift your future closer to what you want. Think about a runner at the starting line. The crowd is watching, the gun hasn't gone off yet, and in those few seconds before the sound, the heart races, the mind screams with fear and excitement. That's what it feels like before you act. But when the signal hits and they start running, all that fear turns into focus. That's what happens when you finally move. The fear turns into fuel. People think success comes from big moments. No. It comes from 100 small acts of courage. The moment you speak up, the moment you show up, the moment you take the first step while others are still thinking. Every time you choose action over comfort, you win. There will always be reasons not to act. Too busy, too tired, too risky. But life won't slow down for you. If you want it, you have to move. And once you do, you'll realize most of the things you were afraid of weren't even real. They were just walls built by hesitation. Look at the people who inspire you. They weren't born fearless. They were just tired of waiting. They acted even when they didn't know what would happen next. And that's the secret. They didn't wait for confidence. They built it through action. When you act now, you don't just change your circumstances. You change your mindset. You stop being the person who says, someday, and become the person who says, today, you stop talking about potential and start living it. You'll never be ready, not completely. You'll never have all the answers, not right away. But what you have right now is enough to begin. Because the moment you start, you give life a signal that you're serious, that you're showing up for what you believe in. Every second you hesitate, doubt grows stronger. Every second you act, belief grows stronger. That's the battle. Action versus hesitation. And every time you choose action, you move closer to becoming who you're meant to be. Embrace failure. Those two words sound painful, don't they? Because nobody wants to fail. Nobody wakes up in the morning hoping to fall flat on their face. We live in a world that celebrates winning, success, and perfection, but hides the struggle, the mistakes, the lessons. Yet the truth is, failure is not the enemy of success. It's the doorway to it. You can't skip it, you can't avoid it, and you shouldn't fear it. Because every failure carries a message, and that message is growth. People are afraid of failure because they think it defines them. They think failing means they're not good enough, not smart enough, not capable enough. But failure doesn't say who you are. It shows you where you are. It's feedback, not final judgment. It's the universe saying, that didn't work, try again, but smarter this time. Think about a child learning to walk. They fall 100 times, maybe more. Nobody looks at that child and says, you failed. We clap, we cheer, we say, get up, try again. And they do, over and over. Until one day, they take those first few steps, and suddenly they're walking. That's life. That's how every form of progress works. You fail forward until you find your balance. Failure is the greatest teacher you'll ever have. Success makes you comfortable, but failure makes you wise. Success feeds your ego, but failure feeds your character. When you fail, you learn who you really are, how bad you want it, how strong you can be, how much fight you've got left in you when everything seems to fall apart. Imagine someone chasing a dream. Maybe they start a small business. They're full of energy, ideas, hope. But the first few months, nothing goes right. They lose money, make mistakes, get ignored. Friends start whispering, maybe it's time to quit. But that's the moment of truth. That's when they either give up or grow up. And the ones who grow up, who study their failure, who learn from it, they come back sharper, stronger, wiser. Because the lesson you get from failure is something success can never teach you. Failure exposes your weaknesses so you can turn them into strengths. It humbles you. It builds empathy. It makes you appreciate the victories when they finally come. It strips away your pride and leaves behind pure determination. It's like the fire that purifies gold. Without it, you stay rough, unrefined, ordinary. People will laugh at your failures, they'll gossip, they'll judge. But what they don't realize is that every person they admire has failed more times than they've even tried. Michael Jordan missed more shots than he made. Thomas Edison tried thousands of times before he got the light bulb right. Every artist, every athlete, every creator you know, they've all tasted failure, and that taste made them hungry. The real problem isn't failing. It's quitting too early. Most people stop right before things start to click. They hit one wall and think it's over. But every wall you hit is testing you, asking you, how bad do you want this? And when you push through, when you refuse to let failure break you, that's when you earn the right to succeed. Think about relationships. Sometimes you fail in love. You trust the wrong people, you get hurt, you lose faith. But those failures teach you what real love feels like, what loyalty means, what boundaries you need. You become wiser, calmer, stronger. The same thing happens in business, in art, in any dream. Every failure refines you until you're ready for what you truly deserve. Failure has a strange way of introducing you to your real self. When you're winning, everyone's around. But when you fail, the noise disappears. The crowd fades, and you're left with silence. In that silence, you find out what you're made of. That's where true confidence is born, not from applause, but from resilience. People who fear failure never start anything new. They play it safe. stay comfortable, and wonder why nothing changes. But those who embrace failure, they live fully. They take risks, they learn faster, they evolve. Because they understand that failure isn't a dead end. It's a detour to something better. Picture a writer sending out manuscripts and getting rejection after rejection. Every no stings, but every no sharpens their skill. They tweak the story, refine the voice, and one day, that same writer gets a yes. And that yes feels different, deeper, because it was earned through every painful no that came before it. That's the beauty of embracing failure. It gives meaning to your success. When you fail, don't hide it. Study it. Ask yourself why it happened. What can you do differently next time? Every failure leaves clues. And if you pay attention, those clues guide you to success. Most people fail and walk away. The wise fail and take notes. There's a certain kind of strength that only failure can build. It's the strength that makes you say, I've been there, I've fallen before, and I can rise again. It gives you a calm confidence. You stop being afraid of what might go wrong because you've already survived worse, and that makes you unstoppable. Failure also teaches you patience. You stop rushing. You start respecting time, respecting process. You understand that growth takes mistakes, and when you finally reach your goal, you don't take it for granted. You treasure it. So many people spend their lives trying to avoid failure, not realizing that by avoiding failure, they're avoiding growth. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's the foundation of it. It's the test that proves how much your dream really matters to you. When you embrace failure, you stop being afraid of trying. You start chasing challenges. You start saying yes to opportunities that scare you. And the moment you stop fearing failure, that's the moment life opens up in ways you never imagined. Because you're no longer running from pain. You're running toward progress. And every scar, every setback, every loss becomes part of your story. Not as a sign of weakness, but as proof that you kept going when most people gave up. That's what embracing failure does. It transforms your pain into power, your mistakes into wisdom, your struggle into strength. Stay consistent. That's the part nobody talks about enough. Everyone loves the excitement at the beginning, the rush of starting something new, the thrill of dreaming big. But when the excitement fades, when the work gets boring, when the results don't show up right away, that's when most people quit. And that's why consistency separates the dreamers from the doers. Because talent will get you started, but consistency will keep you going. Staying consistent means showing up even when you don't feel like it. It means putting in effort when the world isn't watching, when there's no applause, no recognition, no guarantee. It's waking up early when you'd rather sleep in, practicing when no one's clapping, learning when no one's grading. Consistency isn't loud. It's quiet, repetitive, unglamorous. And that's exactly why it's so powerful. Think about the gym. The first week, you're fired up. You buy new shoes, you make a playlist, you take pictures. But by week 3, the excitement fades. You don't see results yet. The mirror looks the same, your body aches, and your mind starts whispering, why bother? That's the moment that matters most. That's when consistency steps in. The person who pushes through that wall, who keeps showing up even when nothing seems to change, that's the one who transforms. Because progress isn't made in bursts. It's built in repetition. You can't master anything without consistency. A musician who practices only when inspired will never be great. An athlete who trains only when motivated will never dominate. Success is built by the person who shows up every single day, rain or shine, in silence without fanfare. The one who chooses discipline over mood, effort over excuses. Life rewards the consistent, not the fastest, not the strongest, not the luckiest, the consistent, the one who just refuses to stop, because consistency compounds. What seems small today becomes powerful tomorrow. The tiny effort you put in every day adds up until one day people look at you and say, how did you get so good? And you'll smile because you'll know the truth. It wasn't one big thing. It was 1,000 small things done daily. Think about a student preparing for an exam. One person studies all night before the test, desperate, panicked, exhausted. Another person studies a little bit every day, just an hour, calmly and consistently. Who wins? The one who stayed steady. Because success doesn't come from intensity, it comes from consistency. You can't cram greatness. You grow into it. And it's not just about goals or work. It's about who you become through consistency. When you stay consistent, you build trust with yourself. You prove that you can rely on you. That's the quiet confidence nobody can give you or take away. You stop needing motivation because you've built momentum. Motivation is a spark, but consistency is the fire. Motivation gets you started, but consistency keeps you burning when motivation dies. And it will die sometimes. You'll have days when you don't feel inspired, when life hits you hard, when everything in you says stop. But if you push through, if you keep going, that's where you grow. Because consistency isn't about perfection, it's about persistence. Think about a writer trying to finish a book. Some days the words flow, and other days it feels impossible. But the writer who writes a little each day, even a few sentences, will finish the book long before the one who waits for inspiration. That's what consistency does. It builds bridges over resistance. The truth is, consistency is uncomfortable. It's not glamorous to wake up at 5 a.m. to practice. It's not exciting to study while others party. It's not fun to save money instead of spending it. But the person who chooses the grind today gets the glory tomorrow. Because consistency demands sacrifice, and every sacrifice is an investment in your future. You might not see results right away. That's the hardest part. You'll give everything and see nothing for a while. It feels unfair, like your effort isn't working. But that's how growth happens. It's silent at first, it's invisible. Just like a seed under the soil, it doesn't show signs of life for weeks, but it's growing roots, building strength. And when it finally breaks through, it's unstoppable. That's what your consistency is doing right now. Building roots under the surface. The biggest mistake people make is stopping right before the results show up. They quit one step before the breakthrough. They don't realize how close they were. You'll never know how far you could have gone if you stop halfway. So keep going, even when it feels slow, even when nobody notices. Because one day, all those small efforts will connect, and you'll see what it was all for. Look at a sculptor. They don't create a masterpiece with one hit. They chip away slowly, carefully, for days, weeks, months. Each strike seems small, but each one shapes the vision. And eventually the masterpiece appears, not because of one powerful strike, but because of thousands of consistent ones. That's how success works. It's a sculpture made out of patience, focus, and repetition. In your career, in your health, in your relationships, consistency builds trust. People start to rely on you, believe in you, respect you, because they see that you don't give up when it gets hard. And that kind of reputation, that kind of character, is worth more than any quick success. The world is full of talented people who started strong and faded fast. What separates the lasting few is consistency. It's not luck, it's not timing, it's showing up when others don't. The ones who stay steady through chaos, through failure, through boredom, those are the ones who make it. You can't control everything, but you can control your consistency. You can control how often you show up, how hard you work, how much effort you give. And when you do it long enough, something changes inside you. You stop chasing results and start chasing improvement. And that's when life starts to shift. So every time you feel tired, remember this. It's not about being perfect every day. It's about being present every day. Even on your worst days, do something, anything. That keeps you moving forward. Because consistency doesn't demand perfection. It demands persistence. And persistence always pays off in ways you can't see yet.